Revanth Reddy has brought the state's financial crisis out in the open with an explosive claim saying, even if you cut me into pieces, I can't raise 18,500 crores a month. That was in response to mounting pressure over delays in fulfilling promises to government employees, and at the center of which is the Telangana Employees Joint Action Committee's 37 unresolved demands and a looming threat of statewide protest. Reddy explained that while Telangana requires 22,500 crores each month to meet its expenses, the state's revenue currently stands at only 18,500 crores, a shortfall that he attributed to the previous BRS government's financial mismanagement. Listen in.
నన్ను కోసినా కూడా 18,500 కోట్ల రూపాయల కంటే ఎక్కువ ఆదాయం లేదు. ఏం చేస్తారా నన్ను చెప్పురు ఉద్యోగ సంఘాల నాయకులను అడుగుతున్నా, ఏం చేస్తారు? నన్ను కోసుకుంటే తింటారా, వండుకొని తింటారా, ఏం చేస్తారు? లేదు, ఉన్నదే 18,500 కోట్లు. ఎట్లా వంచుదామో చెప్పండి. ఏది ఆపమంటారో చెప్పండి. వృద్ధాప్య పెన్షన్లు ఆపమంటారా? ఉచిత కరెంట్ ఆపమంటారా? షాదీ ముబారక్ ఆపమంటారా? ఏ ఆపమంటారో చెప్పండి. ఏది ఆపుతారో ప్రజలకు చెప్పండి. అయ్యా మీది ఆపేసి మేము బోనసులు తీసుకుంటాం, మేము జీతాలు పెంచుకుంటాం, మేము అన్ని మేము దినంగా మిగిలితేనే మీకు ఇస్తామని రైతు ప్రజలకు చెప్తా అంటే చెప్పండి.
The CM's comments were also aimed at addressing the delay in implementing the Pay Revision Commission and dearness allowance for government employees, blaming the empty coffers left back by the previous government for the setbacks. In a rebuttal, BRS Working President KT Ramarao or KTR criticized the Chief Minister for failing to deliver on the promises. Listen in.
అధికారంలోకి వచ్చిన మొదటి 2 వారాల్లోనే శ్వేతపత్రం అనే అబద్ధాల జాతర మొదలుపెట్టినారు. మొదలుపెట్టుడు 6 లక్షల కోట్ల అప్పయిందని మొదలు పెడతాడు. ఇవాళ ముఖ్యమంత్రి గారు మరి ఎన్నిసార్లు మారుస్తారో అంకే కూడా మాకు కూడా అర్థమైతలేదు. మొదలుపెట్టినప్పుడు డిసెంబర్ 2023లో 6 లక్షల చిల్లర కోట్ల అప్పు అని చెప్పిండు కేసీఆర్ గారు చేసింది. ఇవాళ చెప్తున్నాడు నిన్న 8,29,000 కోట్లట. ఈ సంఖ్య రోజు రోజుకు మారుతూనే ఉంటుందా? సర్కార్ నడుపుతుండ్రా, సర్కస్ నడుపుతుండ్రా, ఏం నడుపుతున్నారు మీరు? 6 లక్షల కోట్లని చెప్పింది మీరే, మళ్ళీ ఇవాళ 8,29,000 కోట్లను అబద్ధం చెప్తుంది మీరే.
All right, let's try and understand if Revanth Reddy can tide over this fiscal crisis that is facing him. Shubhamoy Bhattacharjee, consulting editor, The Business Standard, is joining us to put things in perspective. Shubhamoy, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. You know, a lot of people are asking, why is it then when the coffers are running empty, much like Karnataka, which happened, that you go for 6 guarantees? Where does he bring the money for that? Do you think that is not being fiscally prudent, as it were?
You know, the Indian system of, or the India government system of paying for the government's committed expenditure is something which is very, very sacrosanct. Now, most of the government revenues in every state, about 85 to 90%, goes in paying committed expenditure.
Right.
The salary expenditure,
pensions,
and interest, salary, pensions, and expenditure on interests.
Right.
Now, this is the sort of thing that they knew in any case when they were taking on. So the headroom is not available to do anything more. Now, when Mr. Revanth Reddy says, I don't have the money to pay salary or pensions or whatever, he actually is not correct, because that money is there. It's a committed liability. It's a contract between the government and the employees, and that money has to be paid. What he actually is not saying is, I don't have the money to pay for my promises which I had made during the election.
Oh,
and that is where his trouble is.
Well, I mean, you know, because it hinges on what the transport, JAC had said that they will, you know, launch a statewide protest if their demands are not met. Demands are different from what is due to them. And I wonder, Shubhamoy, if he will not fulfill the 6 guarantees. But let's get at the macro level. Tax revenue, that's also seen a dip in performance. I mean, don't you think that that's a major issue that Reddy should be focusing on?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, every state makes a big show of saying that out of total 100 rupees of public expenditure sent, I mean, for the country, 60% are paid by the states. And the states say that we get only about effectively out of the divisible pool, we get 41%, which effectively translates to 32% of the center's tax revenue. So we are left with much more, I mean, our gap between what we get and what we are able to pay. What they don't say is that no state pushes its own tax revenues. Every state's tax revenue is just one thing: liquor. Every state government pays for its people by just putting taxes on liquor.
Right.
You take the liquor from tax revenues of the states, every state would be bankrupt, excepting possibly Gujarat, because that doesn't tax. I mean, that has the total prohibition. But other than that, every other state. Now, that's a dangerous state of situation, which means the states do not raise taxes on what they can. For instance, they don't tax agricultural income, they don't tax properties, they don't tax professions, because none of those are palatable. So states run away from the uncomfortable idea of raising tax revenues. Yes.
All right. I mean, I just have 30 seconds with me. I'm sorry, Shubhamoy, but that's how television works sometimes. Tell me, what is the way out for Revanth Reddy? Not to depend on borrowings, because he's been borrowing.
Definitely, he can borrow actually, because the state governments get the same grade treatment as the central government, so that he can afford to borrow. But borrowing will not take him out of this mess. He has to raise tax revenues coming to the state. There is no other option but to do that, or to bring in efficiency in the collection of the tax revenues.